If I'm so valued, why the fuck would you raise my rent? My current rent's $41.90. If I renew with the early special, they are raising it to $4,602.
Either keep the rent the same or something bad is going to happen to this place.
What bad is going to happen to the place?
Don't you worry.
Every renter in this video opened a letter and found a number that made no sense. And every landlord in it is standing outside a door that will not open. Both sides are filming, both sides think they are the victim, and one of them is quietly breaking the law.
And you tear my shit up? Ain't no scales.
Before the shouting starts, before the police arrive and the locks come off, this war begins with something almost boring. A folded sheet of paper taped to a door, waiting for somebody to come home and read it.
So I just got home and this note was taped to my door, and I'm kind of scared to open it because it says rent notice, which probably means my rent is about to increase. And not to sound dramatic, but the inside of this note is about to determine the fate of my future, because if they keep my rent the same, I would highly consider staying in West Palm Beach for another year. But if they raise it by over $100, I'm 100% moving to either Miami or New York.
Watch the way he holds that envelope like it might bite him. And you already understand everything you need to know about renting right now. Rent day used to be a chore you did without thinking, and now it feels like a verdict being read out in a courtroom where you happen to be the defendant.
My current rent is $4,200 a month, so if they raise it to more than $4,300 a month, I'm 100% out of here. But let's see. Congratulations on your upcoming anniversary with us, and thank you for being a valued resident in our community. As a valued resident, we'd like to show our appreciation by offering you an early renewal discount.
Then the number arrives, and the compliments stop working.
They are raising it to $4,602. And if I don't sign within the month, they're raising it to $4,732 a month. Bro, that is fucking crazy. I was thinking maybe $200 to $300. That would typically be in line with inflation, right? 3 to 4%. $4,600 from 42 is a 10% increase. Okay, since my landlord wants to play games, we're gonna play a little game called Move Out.
What makes that clip land is that he never once loses his temper. He does the maths out loud and works out that going from around $4,200 to $4,600 is a 10% increase when he had been braced for 3 or 4.
The apartment hunt is back on in full swing, and I know I showed you guys Fort Lauderdale a little bit the last couple weeks, but I don't think that's on the table anymore. I'm really thinking about Miami or New York.
A second renter proved that in public without ever raising his voice, which is what makes his story so hard to argue with.
Landlords right now are making absolutely no sense. We are renting a 1-bedroom apartment, and we originally signed our lease about 2 years ago for around $2,700 a month. A year later, our rent got increased by $50. Okay, no big deal. We re-signed. And then we got our proposal letter about a month ago stating our rent would increase to almost $2,900 a month.
So instead of arguing, he went shopping.
So we sat down, talked about it, realized this was ridiculous for a 1-bedroom apartment because we could pay an extra couple $100s and get a completely remodeled 2-bedroom apartment. We told them no thanks, we will not be renewing our lease, and now we're probably moving into a 2-bedroom sometime next week. So after we told them we will not be renewing for $2,900 a month, our exact same apartment is now on the market for almost $2,600. About $300 less.
$300 a month evaporated for no reason other than that he was gone. So what was that extra $300 buying? Not the market, not repairs, not taxes. It was buying his exhaustion because moving is horrible and boxes are heavy, and they were betting he would sign rather than deal with any of it.
And landlords, once they have you living in their place, they realize that it's so much more convenient to just increase your rent because there's a likelihood you don't want to go through the trouble and move out to find a new place. But now, because they sent this proposal to us, they have to go through the trouble of finding a new tenant, and because they realize $2,900 is absolutely ridiculous for a 1-bedroom, they have dropped the price to $2,600.
That is the entire game in a single breath. You're not being charged for the apartment, you're being charged for how tired you are.
This is one of the huge reasons inflation has been going up. Rent is a large factor when it comes to the cost of living, and landlords often just increase the rent because they know it's more convenient. And before you comment you're a realtor, you're selling houses, and you're renting a place, yes, we have talked about it multiple times. We are saving up for a single family home with a large piece of land, and as of right now, you need to make about $350,000 a year in order to afford the house that we want. We do not want to move into a condo or a townhouse. We are saving up for a larger home. And as of right now, I definitely am not making that much money. So yes, we are going to be renting in the near term, probably for another 2 or 3 years. But the situation had me thinking, maybe if you are getting an increase in your rent, maybe just say you're not going to renew, tell them you're going to be shopping for other places. Once your apartment comes back on the market, just apply for it again, because we could save $300 just by staying put.
Which brings everybody to the obvious question sitting under every one of these videos. Can they even do this legally? A tenant in New York got tired of guessing and found out.
Hi everyone, the countdown continues. There are now 59 sleeps left in my New York City apartment where I've lived for 3 years because our landlord is increasing our rent by $765 a month. I've been really disheartened to see how many other people, both in New York City and also other parts of the country, have suffered similar rent increases. So I just wanted to give some more information on rent regulations specifically in New York City and answer the question, is this legal?
She went and read the law herself, and what she found should be taught in schools.
So New York City has around 2.3 million renter-occupied apartment units. Of that total, around 1 million are rent regulated. So this means these units are either rent stabilized or rent controlled. For a rent stabilized unit, around 960,000 units in New York City. In April of 2024, good cause eviction passed the New York State Legislature, and this bill covers rent protections for individuals that live in market rate units. Rent increases under good cause eviction are limited to inflation plus 5% each year, or a maximum of 10% a year total.
So there is a ceiling after all, capped at inflation plus 5% or 10% a year at most, written into law in April of 2024 for exactly this reason. Which would mean she is protected, and this story ends here, except it does not. And the reason is one sentence most renters have never read.
However, these protections do not apply to units that are owned by landlords that own 10 or fewer apartment units in New York State. So apartment units like mine that are owned by a small landlord who owns 10 or fewer apartment units are not protected under good cause eviction.
If your landlord owns 10 or fewer units in the state, the protection does not apply to you. So her increase is not a loophole and not a scandal. It is the law working exactly as written. And she is telling everybody watching to check who really owns their building, because that single fact decides whether they have any rights at all.
If you're in a similar situation, you can type into Google who owns what, and you're able to look up by your landlord or your building address to see what other properties your landlord might own to see if they qualify as a small landlord with 10 or fewer units.
So the tenants refusing to pay are not squatters breaking rules. They are declining to fund somebody else's guess about what their home is worth, and landlords know it, which is why some of them stop asking nicely.
I wanted to talk about the rent increase that we got going on this year.
What about it?
Well, your 1-year lease is up, and so in the contract, we agreed to a rental increase, and I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Let me get up. Hold on. A what?
We're raising your rent.
He is being polite, calling instead of posting a letter, doing it the human way, and then the floor gives way underneath him.
Do you remember signing the lease and getting the keys? The rent goes up $200 when the 12 months is up.
Hell no. I did not agree to no $200 rental increase. That's not happening. Either keep the rent the same or something bad is going to happen to this place.
It's already happened. There's nothing I can really do about it.
There's nothing he can really do about it, which is remarkable to hear from the man who supposedly holds all the power. He cannot take the rent back. The tenant is promising damage to the building, and neither has a move left. So the paperwork takes over, and paperwork is where this stops being an argument and becomes a war.
He's not doing eviction. I'm doing eviction.
But we're changing the locks on that, Ronnie.
No, you're not supposed to.
Yes, we are.
Is this the same house, sir? Because you might as well call police that don't mind showing it. Y'all see, I was asking questions, and he got mad and told me what? Call the police, faggot.
Code for it.
Officer get mad at me.
Beck, don't listen.
Meanwhile, the man swapping the locks does not flinch, because for him, this is a Tuesday LMM and friendly voice.
Is this a normal lockout?
Yeah.
People hire me to get rid of naughty tenants. So I deal with this all the time.
Do what we're doing right here to help you guys keep the peace.
While a front door is drilled out of its frame behind him, there are men now whose entire income depends on your worst day arriving on schedule. Sometimes, though, the tenant has read the paperwork more carefully than anybody expected.
Can I help you?
Ma'am, Officer Gaddy, Superior Court, how are you?
Good, how are you?
You open the door, we're here to do the eviction.
Okay. Well, this gentleman's here to serve you with an eviction.
I understand what he's here for, but unfortunately, the eviction papers that he was served are fraudulent. And as a result of being fraudulent and not being ordered by the court of...
She never opens the door. She just keeps talking through it. She argues the papers are fraudulent and that the officer outside does not have the actual physical order for possession in his hand, and whether she is right is almost beside the point. She has turned an eviction into a hearing on her own porch with the court officer cast as the defendant.
No, give me the officers. I want the officers.
Who's coming?
I want the police officers. I want the police officers.
Now turn the camera around because the other side looks nothing like a corporation.
Like, because I asked you to leave because you did not pay your rent. I asked you to leave my house. I wasn't evicting you. I didn't want to even put an eviction on your record. I just asked you to leave my house and you do this.
Listen to that voice. That is not a hedge fund with a marketing department. That is a man inside a wrecked house he still owes money on, filming the damage because nobody else is coming to look at it.
Place to live when nobody else will give you a place to live. And you tear my shit up. Ain't no scams because ain't no insurance on this. This is gonna come out my pocket. You gotta have insurance to pull a scam. Like you did this to me because I asked you to pay me my money?
This is not one country having a bad year either. The same story is being filmed in Britain from the landlord's side of the window.
It is eviction day. So this tenant didn't pay rent for a long time. So we had to go to the court to get an eviction notice. We got the bailiff appointment. We showed up to the property. They're gone. The first thing, the locks were changed so we couldn't get into the property. Whilst we were waiting for the bailiffs to show up, tell us what to do, we looked around the property. We found the point of entry, which was this window. So we decided to wait around. The bailiffs finally showed up. They couldn't open the door as well. So they advised someone to go through the window. And everyone looked at me.
The tenant has changed the locks on a house she does not own. The bailiffs cannot get in either, and so a grown man climbs through a window into a property he legally owns. What they find inside answers a question nobody wanted to ask.
After we got into the property, we realised they've absolutely trashed it on purpose. Like, there looks like feces on the wall, bruv. Anyway, so we decided to go around. The garden was an absolute nightmare as well. Whoever used that is absolutely wedge. Smeared the yogurt on the TVs for some reason. And we ended the day by changing the barrels, and that was it. Bosh, eviction done, tenant gone.
Trashed on purpose, not neglected. And that distinction matters, because this is what the fight becomes once both sides decide the other is the villain. Nobody wins that version. The house just loses.
Sophia, you're being evicted this morning. No, you're being evicted now. I've got, everything is in order. I've done everything by the book. Oh, she's hung up anyway. I'm going in.
£8,000 down, and after months of anguish, at least Terry can now finally enter his own house.
Everything is just messy. You can see some nasty stains on the walls. It's all here as well. It looks like tea. I don't know.
£8,000 gone and months of anguish. All of it just to walk through the front door of a house he already owns. By now you have almost certainly decided who the villain is, which is a problem because you are one clip away from being wrong.
So I was opening my mail recently and I got notice of a rent increase. But also in my mail was a letter from the LA Housing Department explaining to me how I can start paying them instead of my landlord for the REAP account, rent escrow account program.
2 letters in the same mailbox in the same week, and they do not agree at all. One demands more money. The other tells her the city may be taking her rent away from her landlord entirely because an inspector decided the place is not fit to live in.
So in September, I got an email from my landlord saying disregard the REAP letters. We had an inspector sign off on the property today. You can pay rent as per usual. Now, my mistake, I took it in good faith that she meant that.
Disregard the letters, trust me, pay as usual. So she did, and then something about that rent increase made her check anyway.
So I decided to call the LA Housing Department, which, by the way, was such a long wait on the phone, but I figured I need to get some clarification. It turns out that since August, I've been overpaying my rent by 45%, that they owe me that money back, and they can either give it to me in credit, which I wouldn't want, or they can pay me the money back. It's like $3,700. And I am like disheartened because I've been paying rent.
She says the housing department confirmed she had been overpaying by 45% since August, and that she is owed around $3,700 back. The program also blocks any rent increase for 13 months after a property is released from it, and yet a rent increase is exactly what landed in her mailbox.
So I'm having like my lawyer friends all write up like different versions of this, and then I'm gonna run them all by each other, and then they're gonna tell me which one's the best.
So here's the verdict, and it is not the one that either side came here hoping for. This was never a war between good tenants and greedy landlords, because money was never the thing that decided it. It was a war over paperwork nobody reads until it is already pointed at them. The renter in Florida read his letter and found a countdown clock hiding inside a discount. The renter in New York read the law and found the 10-unit line that deleted her protection. The renter in Los Angeles read a program notice and found $3,700 inside it. And a man in Britain read a court order followed every step, and still climbed through a window into his own house. Every person in this video won or lost on the same thing, and it was never how much money they had. It was whether they read. Tell me in the comments whether you have ever said no to a rent increase and won. And be honest, would you have climbed through that window? Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.